Okay, I'm offering here now a quick tutorial of 3X Sisters project concerning Pearl Santos, Violet Hamilton, and Jessie Fordyce. Also, I've been in touch recently with David McCain, who is a Boswell sister biographer. He's given me some book material. He has been fundamental in finding some things about the 3X sisters. He also likes to send me Boswell sister stuff every once in a while. So I have that also. He's also sent me a book. He sent me the new Boswell's music CD, which I have not heard yet, but I have heard a lot of their stuff. So the reason for this stuff, there's a corresponding project which we had talked about, David and I, concerning doing possible Harmony Sisters project. That is somewhere on the shelf. I don't know where we are with that, but we are both knowledgeable about female harmonizers, and this is what we're doing. So anyway, as far as a quick tutorial goes, a little bit about the 3X Sisters, the book that I wrote, if anyone had not heard of this before. And so it goes with a lot of reference materials, things I put together for quite a while. And what brings me to this right now is a new computer, which is helping immensely, I think. And I'll find out just how far along I can go with editing stuff, because I've not used this before. It's been about 10 years since I've used any kind of editing softwares. Some Google, Yahoo, YouTube stuff I put on, and I'm not very satisfied with the quality of that stuff, which is why I wanted to upgrade. And also recently I saw that George Gershwin has a new CD that came out about 3 years ago, and it does include the Hamilton sisters and Fordyce. So their material is still out there, and I'm looking to preserve as much of it as I can. Anyway, I'm looking to preserve as much of it as I can. One of the things that's pressing with this is the quality of stuff. I do have some of their master discs from radio, which are few at this point, but I do have them. And so a lot of the recording stuff I've not used yet. I've been holding off on it to get this new video and hopefully put it onto a DVD. So for access for whomever it is that would like to learn about the 3X sisters. And I'm going to put as much of it on there as possible. So, Mary Small is another part of the project. Smile America Smile, which Pearl Santos wrote during the or during World War II era as a USO type of like a booster and a benefit song, and it was never really popularized beyond the Mary Small performance and Pearl's American Legion stuff with USO fundraising that she did during that era as well. I think she did sing it on the radio once in a local Brooklyn, New York area, which is documented in a newspaper, but beyond that it hasn't. However, Mary's voice has been transcribed onto disc, and as much of the song as we can get on there is done. Her grandson had put together a DVD and documentary, and I want to further along on that in a segment with the Three Exorcists documentary projects as well. So that's one of the important things to this, and hopefully I can get that going as soon as possible. In case I have not introduced myself, my name is Glenn Santos. I am the grandson of Pearl Santos, and I've been working on this for a while, so I know what it's about. So David McCain sends me a lot of nice stuff once in a while, because he's the big Boswell Sisters guy. Like this with the Boswell Sisters and Bing Crosby. And I believe that the Hamilton sisters and Fordyce, during their Stars of the Future era, knew a young Bing Crosby. That's my belief, because they did know of him, although they did not tour with him, they did not record with him individually. There is a story out there about the Rhythm Boys and Tom Howard, who Bing Crosby had admired. The Three Exorcists had performed with on the radio, Tom Howard and his Rhythm Boys. And I believe this is where part of that link up is with Bing Crosby. Although it's not documented anywhere, we have a recording. And I don't know if it can be individualized to finding out if he was actually on it or not. But Bing Crosby liked Tom Howard's style of singing. Tom Howard was part of a tour with the Stars of the Future group as well. So there is a connection there, and I think that's important to note. So where else are we going? So as far as what I'm saying anyways, is this is just a quick tutorial for anyone who's not too familiar with the Three Exorcists and want to learn more. This is kind of my way of introducing it. Also, I don't have a lot of time, so this is good. This is like the test video, the test video of the new system that I'm going to burn onto a DVD, and it will be there so you can see it. And I hope I have everything coordinated as far as time-wise. Maybe this will go, hopefully, for a half hour. I hope it doesn't stop at 10 minutes, and then I have to restart another one. I think I'm going to be editing this a little bit, maybe. But other than that, it's a good test, and we'll see where we are along with it. I'm trying to see if I can get some of the, yeah, like this kind of stuff. So that's Pearl and Vi with Snooks, Comedy Ape, and I originally, I think it's California, but that is an interesting photo, because that is probably on the verge of between their England tour and they're coming back to America in a big way. And I think they were in with the silent films during this era. There was talk I had with David McCain, and me and my family talk a lot about they're going from stage singing, dancing, variety acting to a mostly strictly singing format, and singing was both stage and radio. But they also had been introduced to the records when they were in England, and they also got into it here in America. So what you have is it's kind of like, I just saw online yesterday, I was reviewing something with Isham Jones, What Would Happen to Me If Something Happened to You and Where, I Wonder Where, 2 songs that he recorded, and that was with the 3X sisters. So they had that change name. This would have been the first time period that they had that switch over. This is in between the Brunswick, Hamilton Sisters and Fordyce, and this the Victor sessions with Isham Jones, 1932. There's like a 5-year, maybe 4-year span here, and same group, just continuing with the record thing. And this really is the time period when they were on record. We do have other transcripts, but it's radio transcripts. It's not professional recording. But anyway, the thing that I found online was with Isham Jones, and it had said like historical American recordings. And this would have been an important time period because this was a vocal group, American vocal group, on the way up, recording, nearing the top of their peak at the time. And Isham Jones, who was at the top of his peak, but was having some difficulties with contractual and some band differences, affiliation. So they were both kind of emerging, going the same way. It's kind of like when Isham Jones, he was kind of at the top, just starting to come down a little bit, and the 3X sisters were going up, and they kind of met right there at the Victor RCA recording studios. And it was an important event for them to do this because you had both of them were kind of at their top at the time, and they recorded these songs. And so someone out there has noted that it was important, and I actually brought that to the attention of some people a while back. I did a lot of texting, emailing, stuff like that to bring the 3X sisters, link it up with the Hamilton Sisters and Fordyce so people knew this is the same group, and that they had an impact of that time period. And I hope we're going to be able to prove that in our quest here. So hopefully I'm making a lot of sense to you guys as we go along with this. There are some things like with this book that I put together last minute. It was the Brunswick recordings. I'm trying to think of might have been HMV, Master's Voice, which also is with England, when they did piano with Billy Merrill, the Hamilton Sisters and Fordyce. And I had got that information like literally a couple of weeks before I was ready to go to print with this book. And I was like, oh, I can't edit it again. I had like edited it down. I took almost 20 pages out of it. I had rewritten parts. Some of it I didn't want to take out at all because if I had ever done a book again, I didn't want to redo it. And so I was like cramming everything. I could only put 20 pictures in. I could only put so many pages in. I had a limit on quantity. It was a minimum of 100. Otherwise, I would have done just a 50 publish printing, but I couldn't do that. So I was just like cramming everything. So I did a quick review of these songs, like Who You, That's Who, and some of the others from that event. Probably not the best. I don't know when they had other reviews. One of the things with this group is because during like the bebop jazz era, jazz type era stuff, it seems historically about every 20 years people going back and checking their stuff out and recording and or reviewing and having like jazz type parties, and so they knew of certain songs, and so these things kept getting reprinted and new versions of it, but this stuff never had that popularity. So I do know that some things like My Heart Stood Still, there's some coffee shops out in England who have these songs going over their speaker or whatever, so there's some renewed stuff going on. I have not found that out here. in America, aside from what I've put out, and I think it was WVBR out in Arlington, Virginia. Someone had they did a search and some stuff that I had put together through CD, doc stuff, and other stuff I put out there, and some other things that are out there. And they did a big program, and which was good, but really some things get too, I don't know what you call it, non-edited or viewed in a way that's, it hasn't really gotten the full view and edit I think that it should have to really present it the right way. The other thing really that I think is really good, this song, Still No Luck With You, 3X Sisters did, 1935. Very swingy oriented song for that time period, which a lot of bands weren't doing. The Andrews Sisters had not done this type of stuff at the time. 3X Sisters had the popularity and notoriety with Max Fleischer Cartoons and Paramount, and that year they also did what's the song, Rex and the Sound Effects, similarly swingy oriented, and I think those two songs for that year should be taken another review on. I think they have and that's the other time they like kind of peaked. They peaked in 27, 32, I think 35, and then again in 37. And 37 is really like no one touched it, but they had recorded enough where we had the information to see that the radio and the radio announcers, the way they presented them, put them in a very big way that no one had ever accounted for in historical music books. So this is the other thing that we're going to address. So those are the things that I wanted to put out there. You know, they were in newspapers, and they got their pictures and where they were going. So it's not like they weren't out there. I'm letting you know they were out there. I got a lot of pictures. I'm going to need to upload new stuff onto this computer. All Jazz Review, which is just before Stars of the Future. Maybe some of the same groups. That's them in the book. Can I see it there? Okay. And so I'm showing you things from the In Sweet Harmony book. Their association with the cat, I think you can call it the Cheshire Cat or Felix the Cat. He had been popular just before, right around this time period, and there's an early association with Paramount. It seems that Paramount Pictures had been focal with them, and I think they had some dancing things they did on shorts around 29, 30 that's not credited anywhere. I don't know how I'm going to prove that. I just have a suspicion on it, and I have looked into it, and I think I'm right. And now it's a matter of putting it together. I know they were doing dancing. I got the pictures. There's stuff in the papers about them. That's Stars of the Future stuff there. Old picture. That was a little thumbnail picture that I had enlarged. And there actually is a better picture of that Variety magazine of this, and the faces you could see more, but I didn't have access to that back then. The internet was not up and running at that time. This was all, I'd been working on this for a long time, so a lot of this I had were picture, reprint, have them do a copy negative, send it out to get a picture so it could go into the book. And this was, internet was up in the 90s. I think I just started to learn some of it when we were doing editing, when I was an editor on the college newspaper at TC3. But a lot of this was HTML stuff. There were some websites. A lot of it was not. I think a lot of it was still in HTML format. So a lot of the stuff you're seeing now is really more professional and a lot better. I wish a lot of it was about back then, but it just happens to be the way it is. And Pearl on piano when she was younger. Pearl Hamilton. I might want to note also, there's a couple of songs, Stormy Weather, You Can't Brush Me Off, there might be some more that Violet Hamilton did, 1937, and it is possible that it could be Billy Joel's father playing the piano, strangely enough. They lived in Queens, New York. His father lived in Queens, New York. They hired someone locally who was a professional, professional piano player. And I talked to Mr. Joel once, and his father was actually a piano teacher. And this kind of coincides with what they were doing of that era. So I put that on YouTube video as a comment link. It's possible. There's possibility is there. And some more Three Exorcists stuff. They had a relation with Russ Morgan's band, and they did a song, and that's them in a rehearsal. So let's see, 22, almost 23 minutes here. Almost 23 minutes here. We're going to see if we can get this finalized and see how it works, and then do a copy over. I don't know if I'm going to record a little more to put it through or how. So this is the first test. The test of the 3 Exorcists tutorial, June 21st, 2019, and we'll see where it goes from here. Alright, bye-bye.